So I'm going to play a little bit of the Leave No Astronaut Behind, sort of inspired by Patrick Barnes, a gentleman I've been corresponding with. And it is the Mishap Genre, is what I'm calling it, 2-page role play. And you may have seen, I don't know if I've released any videos on this yet. This may be this will be a solo attempt. And I've got Jack, Jim, and Fred, and they're my crew here. And we are in the cockpit when suddenly something is going to go crazy on the ship. And we need to move to the cargo bay and eventually move to the escape module. So there'll be 3 different terrains that I need to cross. And let's get started. So I go over to the ref sheet here, and I'm going to roll for each of the characters that I have. Now, I have a Jack as a point scout, I have Jim as a grizzled vet, and I have Fred as a heavy spec. And they all need oxygen. That's part of the problems that we have. Also, our MIA status, we've lost a connection to ground control. Now, this game, you may have seen it played across the surface of a larger planet trying to escape, but you know, the same concept is going to work, and we'll give it a try right here. And so I'm going to go over to the ref page here, and I'm going to roll for my heavy spec. He's going to roll a d6, and I'm going to roll for my point scout, and he's going to roll a d6, and I'm going to roll for my grizzled vet. And I got a 2 and a 6 and a 4. Now a 2 for my heavy spec means I'm going to add a danger of crabs and go to MIA status. Well, that's not going to be a problem. And my point scout of a 6 is going to be dialogue, which is going to get our CC status back. That's a plus. And then we're going to get final with the grizzled vet of a 4. He's going to change to heavy spec, but then have to roll there. So let me see if I can roll another die for him. And he gets a 3, and he's going to be overcome 2 obstacles. So if I'm reading this correctly, we're going to have 2 obstacles from our grizzled vet. And you may recall that he has changed now into a heavy spec. And we also have crabs. I'll make some duplicates here and just keep them out to the side so that in case I get happy and delete everything, I still have them. And we need oxygen. We have crabs. I double check that on my ref sheet here. And it was add crabs and go to MIA status, a dialogue with the HQ and restore your CCC. So we have the fact that Jack has seen that, wait a second, what is that? There's something invading our ship, some sort of alien parasite that we have to deal with. And Fred, as our point scout, oh, I'm messing him up. Fred gets the crabs. And our point scout was the one that got dialogue with HQ, which gave us CC status. And then we're heading back over into Jim, who originally was a grizzled vet, but he immediately picks up the largest laser rifle he can find and starts shooting these things. 2 obstacles. I now need to resolve these, and so I go over to the player's page, and I got the dialogue we just resolved, because that's going to give us our CC status again. That's going to add +1 of the dice. And we have 2 obstacles in the crabs. So I'm going to cycle back around to Fred. And Fred is going to use search and destroy as a heavy weapon spec. He's going to roll 2 dice, and he's going to add 1. He gets a 6. So Fred has destroyed the crabs on him. Jack, come back to the bay, man. There's all sorts of monsters back here. Monsters? No, you must be imagining it. I'm going to come over to Jim, and Jim's got is a heavy spec guy that needs to get rid of obstacles. Now I'm going to look at my player sheet here, and the heavy spec guy is really good at search and destroy, but search and destroy is not going to remove any obstacles. But the heavy spec guy can roll 2 dice and take the lower on observe and react, or he can roll 1 die and perhaps get that obstacle removed with a 6. I'll try it 1 round. So Jim is going to roll 1 die to see if he can, and he rolled a 1. Of course, now it's starting to rain. Wait, it's select any observe and react result as a result. Pick a useful one. I'm +1 to that die because we have the command and control status. And we will now pick up as well the fact that we are in satellite data that we're receiving, and that satellite data will give us enough information about where the crabs are and how we can get past these obstacles. That there's 3 die 6. Maybe the orbit is decaying as one obstacle, or we have a satellite up ahead that we were supposed to service and it's still on a collision course with us, yet we got other things that we need to do. We got bigger fish to fry. All right, if I mix up my accents between these 3 guys, you're gonna have to forgive me. I am not an actor. So he picked up the fact by rolling on do something anything. He rolled a terrible roll, but that terrible roll lucked out for him. So I'm going to come around here. I got Jack. I'm going clockwise around, and Jack, old Jack Burton. No, Jack is going to go. Well, Jack could try to replenish oxygen for us, or Jack may be the guy that's really on the spot here because he can also eliminate obstacles and get oxygen. So I'm going to roll 2 dice for my point scout Jack and see what he can do here. 3 and a 2. Silent running. Oh, we add 1 for the. Luckily, we're adding 1 for, and that's a 4 into the satellite. So Jack is saying, "I got communications back, Fred." Nah, well, I've already done that. You're a day late and $1 short again, Jack. And Fred comes back. Now, Fred could look for oxygen. Oxygen is really a observe and react type of position. You need to hunt for it. But he could also try to roll 1 die in critical need and add 1. So he rolls a 1 and gets a 2. Every 1 is generating the result of having all sorts of satellite data. Wait! I have the satellite data. I'm supposed to roll 3 dice there. And we picked up some oxygen now from Fred. Fred will eliminate his own oxygen problem. I'm going to just set those right over here because I'm going to need them pretty quick. And I go over to Jim. Jim has got obstacles and oxygen, but he's got that triple die for the satellite. So he's going to do something, anything, rolling for Jim. Jim is saying +1 for the die. It's a 6. Jim is saying to us, God dang it, where did all these things... So Jim has corrected the orbit, so we're not on a collision course with that other satellite that we were supposed to service. But we still have a problem with the fact that we have cargo in the bay that's loose. Now we're trying to just get to the escape module and leave this thing, but that stuff can block the way moving from the cockpit to the cargo bay. And I go over to Jack. Jack's going to come back to this table. We're going to roll 2 dice for Jack. 2 dice. Jack rolls 3 dice. What am I saying? He gets the same satellite, but it's a 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. And we're adding 1 to that. It's the delay. It happens again. Result 6 and danger crabs. So Jack was looking out of the cargo bay here, and he's saying, well, it's awfully quiet. I don't see anything. And then suddenly, here comes the crabs on him. And I hope that was as annoying for you as it was for me to make that cack. I'm back to Fred. Fred has already got his own oxygen. Fred is rolling 3 dice on the do something anything table, and he says, well, if we're going to get off of here, we're going to have to grab all the oxygen, all the spare O2 we got. We're going to start hooking up a valve and running some cable in here, running some hose. I'm going to start filling tanks as fast as I can. That 5 + 1 is a 6. He's gotten Jim his oxygen. Over to Jim. Jim is saying, well, I still got that my own threat. I got my oxygen now, but we can always get some spare tanks to help us along here. Let me see if I get 3 dice for Jim. Jim got a 3, becomes a 4. Jim has got tool surge, and it also causes calamity. Now, a tool surge from Jim means he cannot roll on this table, do something, anything anymore, unless somebody else gets a critical deed and removes that. But that tool surge as well is going to make no attempts here until the next terrain. So the next terrain would be the cargo bay when we move into that. And he also had calamity. I'm looking over my calamity. The results that cause calamity will add crabs, obstacle, and I think crabs is probably a good one to add. So the crabs that were on Jack sort of clone themselves. And here they come over on Jim. Jim is having troubles. I'm up to my neck in crabs, guys. Get these things off me. Point Scout comes in. Point Scout can roll 3 dice. Normally it would be 2 dice, but 3 dice with the satellite. And he can roll on search and destroy and observe and react. The Point Scout does not roll on this do something anything. I'm going to have him roll on the search and destroy table here. A couple of dice, 3 dice. Here comes the roll for Jack. And It's a 3-4-4. That Jack's roll of 3-4-4 plus 1, because we still have the command and control, is a touch and go. End an alien crab threat or critical trouble, but we cause calamity. And that calamity here would probably be add crabs. No, I get rid of crabs. An obstacle, perhaps. Exhaust your laser pistol. MIA status. I'm going to go ahead and say that Jack, in his unfortunately, was a little heavy-handed on the trigger, and he has exhausted his laser pistol. Do we, right here, no laser pistol. But he did eliminate the crabs on himself. And I'm back over to Fred, and Fred is going, crabs, crabs, I can shoot crabs. Guys, I'm shooting, step out of the way, lower your head. +1 on shooting is going to be end an alien crab threat or erase a critical trouble and change status to CC. Well, we already have CC status, but he shot the crabs on Jim. Coming back to Jim. Jim has got a tool surge. He can't do the thing he really does the best in this situation because he's triple dice, but he can as well roll on, do something on search and destroy, and perhaps change status. It's not going to help him to roll. Jim will pass. He needs to get rid of that tool surge. I come back over to Jack. Now Jack needs oxygen, so he's just going to make a roll there to see if I can get oxygen on the observe and react table. 3 dice. And I got myself a 2, 4, and 5. +1 is a 6. 6 I can get oxygen from. That's good. So I have got the oxygen here. And back over to Fred. Fred is not under tool surge. He can still roll on the do something anything. Jim, just stand still. I'm trying to get your tool connected to the proper power. And here comes my dice roll. And I got a 5 +1 is a 6. Let's remove that tool problem from him because that's a pretty devastating one. I come back over to the heavy spec. Jim is a heavy spec guy. He's gonna remember he started as grizzled veteran, but now he grabbed the big gun. I got the really big gun. He's gonna do something anything. Wow, we got to get through this bulkhead. It's sealed. I got to cut my way through. And there go the spare satellite parts that we were blocking our way with. And finally, we can say the point scout. Now, the point scout could roll 3 dice and move the scene, and I think we're going to do that, even though we don't have spare tanks and even though we don't have a laser pistol. I'm going to go ahead and move the scene here. I'm going to roll 3 dice for Jack. Jack says, we got to get out of here. Get to the escape pod. And he rolled a 4 and a 5 and a 1. That 4 and a 5 and a 1 +1 is we're going to fight on, end the alien crab threat or critical trouble, else change the CC status, no adverse conditions, move to the next terrain. And I have no adverse conditions left. The laser pistol it doesn't count for a negative here. And we go over to the cargo bay. So Jack, Jim, and Fred are in the cargo bay. And when we get back in the cargo bay, the first thing that happens is, well, you're going to need oxygen, guys. And I'm going to put these down here just so they're not confused. I'll try to taller tap them across. Jack, Jim, Fred. And I'm going to roll for each of them. Now I got 2 heavy specs and a point scout. Let's roll for Fred first. D6 for Fred. Fred is going to pick himself up. Add 3 crabs on Fred. Ouch. And Jim. And Jim got a 3, overcome 2 obstacles, and our point scout, 6. He's got dialogue status again. Wow. Jack likes to stay in communication with headquarters, which is probably a good thing to do. And 3 crabs over here. Now, am I cheating the game? I probably am. Let me look at my ref sheet here. Crabs. Crabs result in a -1 penalty on the victim until the threat ends. Ooh, we need to assess that. So I'm going to go back to Fred, and Fred is going to have to try to shoot his crabs if he's at +1 and -1. Well, Fred is probably gutsy enough to try it. So do I roll? Did I lose this? I most certainly did. That satellite status was from the cockpit data that we had. When we went in the cargo bay, we'd have to reestablish that. So Fred is going to fire 2 dice. 2 dice off, Fred. Trying to kill the crabs. They're coming up my legs. They're coming up my arms. A 1 and a 2. Now, a 1 and a 2, we add 1, we subtract 1, is going to be hyperventilate. Treat next to on any table as a 1. So, treat next to. So, Fred needs oxygen. He's gasping for air. I go over to Jim. Jim goes, settle down. I'm going to shoot some crabs off you. So Jim is going to roll 2 dice on the heavy weapons tech table here. And he gets a 1 and a 4. Now, he doesn't have any crabs on him, so that becomes a 5. It's touch and go. End an alien crab threat or a critical trouble, but cause calamity. And in this case, I'm going to say the calamity was the fact that we lost our MIA. We went MIA status. We went off comm. The cockpit pit jerry rig that we had established is now gone. But he did shoot one of the crabs over here. And we still need oxygen across the board. Jack is in the cargo bay with his 2 buddies, Jim and Fred. Jack is saying, "Oh my gosh, I can't shoot those crabs. I thought my laser pistol is not working, but we need to get oxygen. We're all going to suffocate here." So he's going to use his observe and react. He's going to look around, see if we can find some spare oxygen tanks. Where do we put those? And here comes the die roll. It's a 5 and a 2. It does not go up 1 anymore because of the MIA status. That 5 and a 2 is delay, and you always take the higher of the 2 unless it says in this case, like a heavy spec guy takes the lower of the 2. A 5 and a 2 is delay. Happens again, treat as a 6 result, and add the danger of crabs. So we got crabs on Jack, and we have a delay. Do I have a delay? I do have a delay. And we drop that HQ. I think we passed that. Wait a second. That HQ, that was the first time I got to him. That dialogue with the HQ means he has reestablished his CC status. Back over to Fred. Now, Fred is gasping. He needs oxygen, and he has 2 sets of crabs on him. But now we're +1 with the die and -1 on the die. 2 dice. As I said, Fred is not going to sit there with crabs on his left foot, crabs on his right foot, and he shot himself. No, he didn't. It's a 3. It's a power flux. It causes a calamity. Now, I could, with the calamity here, add extra crabs. I could also add an obstacle. I could also exhaust the laser pistol, and I think that's probably the best thing to do, is I'm going to have 2 guys here who've exhausted their laser pistols. Wow. This is looking really desperate. How does anyone win this game? Where's Tony with the dice rolls? Jim comes along. Now, Jim can roll 1 die, and on do something, anything, and perhaps get a 6 and roll the laser pistol back. He could also roll 2 dice and shoot at crabs. Now, crabs are causing a negative penalty, and we probably want to get the crabs off of Jack. So I'm going to let 2 dice for Jim to shoot at the crabs on Jack. And he got himself a 6. A 6 is going to blow those crabs away. Jack, duck. They're on the shelf behind you. And I come over to Jack. Now, Jack needs oxygen. Jack doesn't have a laser pistol. He can roll without a laser pistol on search and destroy, but he's -1 of the dice. Ooh, -1 of the dice. +1 of the dice. Now, we're going to go back over and we're going to roll observe and react again, and we're going to look specifically to see if we can find a laser pistol, either for myself or to re-energize Fred. Here comes my 2 dice there. And it's a 4. Now, that 4 is going to mean that we add 1 for CC status, so it's going to be a 5. That 5 is a delay again. But didn't we have a delay? He treats 5s as 6s? We most certainly did. So he has just gotten the laser pistol back for Fred. Coming back over, round the horn, Fred. Fred now has a laser pistol, but he's got crabs on him. +1, -1. Treating a 2 as a 1. We don't want to get him assimilated too quickly, but we like to keep people in play. You ever have players like that just refuse not to participate? They will not take the pass. Well, God love them. Here comes Fred firing his weapon. A 5. Now, a 5 here is touch and go. Alien crab threat, or end an alien crab threat or critical trouble, but cause calamity. See how many calamities we've had. We've had the calamity of the exhausted pistol. We've had the calamity of, let's add an obstacle. So he is essentially shot in the cargo bay, and it dropped some of the bulkhead and is now blocking his passage forward. Making a copy of this just so I can keep a duplicate over here to keep the game moving. But did he roll a 5? He did roll a 5, so that touch and go does eliminate a crab threat. Okay, one more crab left. Heavy spec Jim just takes aim, sees that crab, switches to automatic, and is going to drill it with half a dozen shots. Here come my dice rolls. It's going to be a 2 and a 3, plus 1 is a 4. It's a respite. Treat next 4 on any table as a 6. No conditions move the terrain. We do have conditions. We have conditions of oxygen, we have conditions of obstacles, we have conditions of crab, but that benefit of a respite goes over to Jim. Forgive me, Jim, for blocking your face here, but sometimes my markers to tell what the game is. That way I can also run this game, this playback video, and fast forward, and you can still see what's going on to some degree. And here comes Jack. Now, Jack does not have a laser pistol. Jack needs oxygen, and he's one of the primary people as a Point Scout to get that done. So I'm going to go over to the player sheet here, and I think we're going to look for another laser pistol. It's never good to be unarmed when you're dealing with a game like this. 2 dice. 2 dice is a 3 and a 4. We're adding 1 to it. We're going to have a 5. Delay happens again. Treat as result 6. He already is. Delay becomes result 6. So he just bumped himself up to the point where he can take off and get a laser pistol back. Now we're looking a little better. Over to Fred. Fred's got an obstacle that he needs to eventually eliminate, or else he gets left behind needing. He's got oxygen he needs to get, but that's a tough one for Fred to get. He'd have to roll a 1 die on the do something anything. Fred has got crabs on him. Fred is +1 for command statics and -1 for crabs. Fred is going to roll 2 dice. I got these crabs on me. I got to kill these crabs. 6 and 4. That's a little bit almost Carlin. And boom, that 6 is an easy win. So now we've eliminated the alien monsters that are running all around. But let me go over to Jim here. Now Jim treats 4 as a 6. That's not a bad thing. That means he can't get the tool damage under the table here. No tool surge for him. So I'm going to go ahead and let him roll 1 die, add 1, and try to eliminate an obstacle. And we'll eliminate the obstacle on Fred. He'll help him out. Fred, you're tangling the bulkhead here. Just calm down. I'll cut the cables with my bolt cutters. And 1 die. And a 3. A 3 plus 1 is a 4. Now a 4 is a tool surge normally. That would shut him down completely. But he is under respite. So for the rest of this terrain, he would have 4s treated as 6. So he's eliminated that obstacle here. And we're gonna go over to Jack. Now Jack is Jack. Get the guys together, man. Get some tanks together. We need to move on to the escape pod. Roger. I'll put that in work. And here comes 2 dice for every time I do a characterization for these guys. I'll try to do a proper English accent next for a good old Jack. Oh, Jack here, yeah, I rolled myself a 5. It becomes a 6. A 5 becomes a 6 means I just found my own oxygen. All right, enough of that nonsense. And back over to Fred. Now, Fred is gasping, but that will disappear. The gasping result will disappear. Treat next 2 on any table as a 1, and it would use up your backup oxygen. That will disappear. That's not a threat. That can go away. But we can he roll for oxygen? He can roll on a table here, do something, anything. 1 die plus 1. And it's a 3 becomes a 4. 3 becomes a 4. He's not guarded by this, so he's going to end up with a tool surge. Ouch. Now that tool surge will disappear if we can get to make no more attempts here until the next terrain. So he can no longer do something, anything until we remove that. Over to Jim. Jim is rolling 1 die on the do something anything table. And he rolled a 1, even though it's a +1. It's a, oh, look at that, select any observe and react result. Yes, that one little hidden blessing in the bottom of the do something anything. So while Jim is trying to desperately get Fred to calm down long enough for that tool surge, while he's entangled himself in the cargo bay. There's probably also these guys are in 0G and are trying to do extra vehicular activities here to cross the cargo bay to the point where they have the escape module. But he has established satellite links inside of the bay from that. Nice lucky roll. And now I could choose any result here. I could choose to end an alien threat or gain oxygen or add the laser pistol, but the better one to pick in this case would be the 3 dice. the 3 dice, there's people that said to me, well, that should be the top one you rolled for. No, no, no. You want it to be a fluke. You want it to appear within the table. You know, or the whole game might as well be you roll 3 dice. And here we have, we're over to Jack. Now, Jack is ready to go. Jack could advance the phase and be already at the escape module, but he's going to help his buddies out. So I'm going to roll on Jack. And he's got satellite data, so he's rolling 3d6. 3d6 on the observe and react table. He's collecting up bottles. He's making sure that they got any, and it's only a 5, but yes, you may recall he's under delay situation. He's treating 5s and 6s. That 5s and 6s is nice. So he has taken and brought oxygen to Fred. And off comes his mask, Jack. On comes Fred into Fred's tank. He's disconnected his cable from his pack, and now he's feeding the 2 of them. And then as soon as Fred is back and still gasping, but we're going to move on to Fred. Fred has got tool surge, and Fred does not want to roll on the search and destroy table. Fred will wisely pass. I go over to Jim, and Jim realizes, well, if we don't get Fred back in this battle, we're just losing the extra man. So Fred is going to roll 1 die. I should say Jim is going to roll 1 die, but he becomes 3 dice because satellite table. On the do something anything table, adding 1 to the dice, he rolled a 5. A 5 is going to be a suit puncture. Repaired, yet happens again, use result 3. So we have a punctured suit. 5s become 3 from good old Jim. We're running out of room here, Jim. But he did, from his result, he also needs backup. Or uses backup or need oxygen. We already needed oxygen. You can't double need oxygen. I guess if I was a mean ref, I could make him have calamity, but you wonder how a punctured suit would cause us to lose CC status. I'm over to Jack, and Jack is going, wow, what a mess we got going here. Now, Jack can also eliminate oxygens with the observe and react. He's the calm, collected one of the team. Let me roll 3 dice for Jack. 5 plus 1 for command status is going to be a 6. That 6 is going to be defensive posture. We're going to end a critical trouble. We don't have any. We're going to end an obstacle. That could be good. We could find a laser pistol, restore oxygen, or kill something. In this case, I think now I can't remove the puncture and I can't remove the tool surge. Those would require critical deeds, and I don't have that. I did not make that roll. But adding oxygen, let's take that one over right here. And over to Fred. Fred is limited again. Fred is just going to pass. Fred is going to go order the pizza for the group. Then we go over to Jim, and Jim has got those 2 obstacles, but he's punctured. Does he risk it again? Yeah, he's got to get Fred back in here. So let me roll, and let me roll on this table. I've got 3 dice, and a 3 plus 2 plus 4. No, it's the highest one's a 4. Add 1 to that, becomes a 5. It's a suit repunctured. It happens again. Treat as result 3. He is now, Andy uses his oxygen up. He's on a division by 0 error. It happens again. He dies. Recovers next terrain and add the danger of crabs. So Fred, Jim, forgive me, Jim. Oh my gosh, Jim, you're covered with crabs, and that'll give Fred something to do. He says, you're covered with crabs, and you've got the division by 0 error. Oh, you're in trouble. Now, the division by 0 error is not something that needs to be fully corrected before we move on. It will heal itself after we leave and get to the escape module. A nice gentle reboot of the system. But let me see if we got everything else from that. It says 3. It's happens again with danger of crabs. We did not have to take this because the 5 became the 3, and then we take the results for the 3. You don't get both the results of the 5 and the results of the 3. And we move on over to Jack. Jack is probably at this point just shaking his head. And this guy, Jim, used to be the grizzled vet. Boy, more like a guy retired on active duty. Well, Jack is going to go ahead and roll me, and he's going to try to. He could try to eliminate that tool surge, but he's rolling 3 dice now and taking the lower. That's almost inconceivable. I don't think anyone can make that roll. So I'm going to go over to my table here, and do I need oxygen? I can always pick up spare tanks. Extra backup oxygen tanks could help me in the next round. But he's going to just try to repair obstacles here. So I'm going to roll my 3 dice on observe and react. And I rolled a 6. So He's in a defensive posture. He's just taking his time. There's an obstacle here where we had exposed electrical cabling. He's just going to go ahead and turn the breakers off and shut those panels down. No need to kill anyone here, right? No, we don't want to kill anyone. Although, we could get some medals. And I go over to Fred, and Fred goes, where are my crabs? Oh, here they are. Crabs! Fred goes, crabs. That gives me something to do here when I see the crabs. Fred rolled himself a 6. Okay, hit a 6. Crabs go bye-bye. Fred with his heavy spec, with his submachine gun, laser pulse rifle in the 40-watt range, has taken out the crabs. Now Jim is really in trouble. A lot of that stuff is going to disappear. I think Jim is going to have to pass. And when we pass the gym. I'm double checking this tool surge, and it doesn't really say make no attempts here until next terrain. Oh yeah, that's self-healing. Okay, so we're good with that. And so Jim passes, and we go over to Jack. Jack is going to eliminate the obstacle here. If I can get rid of that second obstacle, maybe that's the fact that we got some jet fuel, some rocket fuel that's bubbling around the bay, and if it mixes with the oxidizer, from the cleaning supplies or from the regular oxidizers from your re-entry modules, we got to keep all that stuff from mixing and blowing up. Here comes my 3 dice and a 6. Six are great rolls. 6, we got rid of the damage that we have with the extra oxidizer here, and I come over to Fred. Now Fred can roll his 3 dice, looking to try to move the team on with no adverse conditions. And I roll 3 dice, and I got a 5, plus 1 for the CC status is a 6. Now, gasping, tool surge, punctured, error, all those can go away if you can move to the next area, and we have. But so does your respite, and so does your delay. You don't get those advantages anymore. We have back needing oxygen as we enter the last compartment here. Going okay on time, you can fast forward through this if you really want to watch the game and see how it's played. And we're also then going to go back to the ref sheet. We're going to roll some dice here, and we got Fred. Fred rolled a 1. He's a heavy spec guy. He changes to Grizzled Vet, and then at Grizzled Vet, he rolls a 2. He's going to change to Tech Ninja, and at Tech Ninja, he rolls and gets a 4, and he's going to add a critical trouble and an obstacle. Let me, before that goes crazy on me, he's a Tech Ninja with a critical trouble and an obstacle. And we go back over to Jim. Jim is going to be my heavy spec guy. Here comes my roll for Jim. Jim gets a 5, heavy spec 5. Add danger of crabs and critical troubles. So we're going to go critical troubles and crabs. And critical trouble, I think I'm going to have to clone that critical trouble. And here comes the critical trouble. And put one over there as a side. And then I got Jack, and Jack's going to roll. Jack has been quite lucky, I think. Jack has rolled 6s twice for his encounters. 6s 3 times. Restore your CC status. If it comes to him, he's got that dialogue with the HQ. At every step in the way, Jack has been cool and collected as the point scout and has cleared the area and made sure that we have good comm status coming in to each area. Get the escape module matter. Oh, there's crabs in the escape module. I go back to Fred. Fred is going, crabs! Crabs! I'm going to kill them crabs. That's what I do. Here comes the medals. Now, I do not have satellite data. I always forget to take that off, so I put it up here where I can see it. We lost that as well when we moved to the next phase, but I can roll 2 dice, take the better, add 1. 2 dice, take the better, 4, respite. Treat the next rolls, a 4 rolled, next 4 roll on the table as a 6. And here comes my respite. And I move over to heavy spec guy, Jim. Oh, he's not a... Oh, I cheated myself. I was thinking he's a heavy spec guy. He's not a heavy spec guy. As a tech ninja, he's rolling on a different table now. Let's go back. Hey, let's go back and catch up. We won't cheat. We'll still keep that 4. So he rolled a do something anything, trying to eliminate an obstacle. And suddenly he's powering himself down with a tool surge. Plus he's adding calamity. I'm going to take that calamity where we want MIA status. And he's got a tool surge. He is Fred is not a tech ninja. Why is he even trying to grab that job code and that tool set? But he has shut himself down. Now it becomes more important. I go over to here. Now he's at -1 for crabs, so we better shoot. Jim is -1, -1. So Jim is going to roll 2 dice on search and destroy, taking the better of him. And he rolled a 6 and a 4. He takes the 6. But it moves to a 5, which means we get another calamity, and he killed his crabs, which is good. That eliminates that -1. And but he also gets the let me make sure I read that right. And he also gets a calamity. And the calamity here in this case, what have we not done? We have a laser pistol. We've already done that one, but we'll probably make it full circle. We're not going to kill crabs and add crabs. You can, but we're going to go ahead and just put the fact that he drained his laser pistol as well. Oh, it's getting ugly here. And we get the dialogue coming in from Jack. That's going to give us back our CC status. That's important. That's +1. There's oxygen being needed, but there's some trouble here. The trouble is we got a tool surge. Now, he probably can't fix that tool surge because he doesn't have a critical D, but he can get critical insight, and he can make rolls to eliminate critical trouble. Let's get over here and let's see what that critical trouble is. Critical trouble is probably the fact that we realize that, oh my gosh, we found the hive of this thing, this queen bee. 2 dice. Rolling on observe and react. Here come my roll. A 3 and a 4. Adding one of my die is a 5. Danger of crabs, but that delay also means that I'm going to be in that situation where 5 becomes 6s. So he sees the mother, and we get that nice sort of cinematic close-up of him realizing, oh my gosh, we are in a world of hurt here. I go back to Fred. Now, Fred is a tech ninja that can't really use his tools anymore. All right, so I can, if I do observe and react, I can roll 1 die. I can't get the critical D to eliminate that tool problem, but I can get 1 die and perhaps eliminate an obstacle or critical trouble. So I'm going to roll 1 die for Fred. Here comes my 1 die for Fred. It's a 1. It's a 1. He's got no crabs on him. He does add 1 to the die roll for that. He's got 2. He's misguided. It's going to add an extra terrain to cross. We suddenly realize that the engine section is on fire, and we'll never get far enough away with the escape module if we don't detour into the engine section and fix that problem. Thanks, Fred. Over to Jim. Jim does not have a laser pistol. Jim is -1 on his results. There, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to roll 1 die with Jim on do something anything and hope that 1 die is high enough that we're going to have a situation where we can get a critical deed and eliminate the tool problem on our tech ninja. A 4. Did I say down 1, up 1? No, it's just up 1. It's a 5. A 5 is suit punctured. Ooh, it's starting to get funky. And I come over to the crew. I'm coming over to Jack. Jack has got crabs on him. He can shoot his own crabs. He can take a -1 penalty on crabs. I think he's going to shoot his own crabs. It's going to be -1 +1. He's rolling 1 die to shoot his own crabs. No, he says no. I can kill crabs over here and observe and react just with a steady aim. Give me 2 dice instead, and a 6. Down 1, up 1. I killed my own crabs. Well, that at least is good. Coming back over to Fred. Fred's got an obstacle. Fred's got critical trouble. Fred's needed oxygen. And Fred made it so that we have 1 more terrain to pass over into the engine section before we can get out of here. Thanks, Fred. Fred, why don't you pass right now? Well, I don't have to pass. I can roll a single D6 again and hope I roll something really big. Well, that's true. But if you do roll a 2, or a 1 again. All right, we'll let Fred participate in the game here. You know, he's probably needs a participation trophy. Here comes Fred. Here comes your die roll. And I got a 6 plus 1 is 7. Now, he cannot correct his tool surge with this possible defensive posture. He can end a critical trouble. He can end an obstacle. He can kill an alien threat. He can gain oxygen. He can repair a laser pistol. The most critical one of all that would probably be... is it this one? Maybe not. Is it his own critical trouble or obstacle? Perhaps. Is get oxygen? I'm going to go ahead and eliminate the obstacle here, because the obstacle is a hard one in some ways. And I'm going to go over to Jim. Now, Jim is at a position where he could be hurting himself badly. I think Jim is going to have to pass as well. I come back to Jack. Jack is rolling 2 dice. 2 dice on the observe and react table. And he got a 5 and a 1. He adds 1, he becomes a 6. Now, he can replace a laser pistol, end critical trouble. It's going to end the critical trouble of... let's end the critical trouble off of here. Off of Fred. I come back over to Fred. Fred's got that tool surge as a tech ninja. He can't get rid of that. It's Jim that has to roll that die eventually to get rid of that. Or we have to go to the engine section, repair that, or at least keep it from blowing up, and then we can run back to the ready escape module. That last montage of the adventure. And Fred cannot roll on one table, but he can roll on the observe and react table. And I'm going to let him +1. And did it? There it is. 6 plus 1 is a 7. Great roll. Great roll. How confusing is it that I don't put 1 or less? I hope you guys don't. There's some people that just cannot be helped. 7. I can heal a whole bunch of stuff with that. I could get oxygen. I'm going to eliminate the critical trouble here. And we got here Jim. Now, Jim could try to roll to get rid of that tool surge, but you know, between the two of them, between Fred and Jack, they may not need it yet. So Jim passes. I go over to Jack. Jack is rolling 2 dice here. 2 dice for Jack, a 2 and a 6. We're going to take the higher one, becomes a 7. So he can eliminate the fact. Well, he could give a laser pistol over here. That would stay with him. So let's get rid of the laser pistol. Fred is rolling 1 die. Is he going to cause us even more grief? And Fred rolled a 6. Wow, good rolls, Fred. He can pick up oxygen. He can't take off the puncture. Those are need to be heals. But he'll take off his own need for oxygen. And I go over to Jim. I'm going to let Jim roll 1 chance to try to get the tool surge fixed. And he's rolling 1 die. And I don't think I made it. And he rolled a 6. He has fixed the tool surge. Good roll, Jim. Not as amazing as some other rolls I've seen, but a very good roll. I got Jack. Jack needs to fix oxygen. I'm going to roll myself 2 dice here. Roll me some 2 dice. I roll me some 2 dice, and I've got this fixed right here. And we go over to Fred. Fred will pass because it's easier for Jack to do the job. And Jim, well, do we want to try to eliminate? No, Jim will pass as well, and Jack will roll to see if he can get his own oxygen here. Here comes 2 dice. 2 dice is 4, plus 1 is a 5, but we know that he's a 5, become a 6, so we've healed the oxygen here. We're all set. That means Fred is a tech ninja. Now, a tech ninja is not going to be able to roll search and destroy very well. Its 2 dice take the lower. So I'm going to go ahead and just pass with Fred, go over to Jim, and get that heavy spec. Heavy spec, rolling 2 dice. A 5 and a 3, plus 1 because we have CC status. Means we advance the phase. I'm going to just put this right here. Hopefully it's not too confusing with all the other things. I did not anticipate I would have a 4th terrain to move through. And here comes that 4th terrain. What do? We go back to the ref sheet and the delay disappears, yes, and the puncture disappears. And then we come back and we're all going to need oxygen. And we're going to come back to the ref sheet, and I'm going to roll for Fred, Jim, and Jack. Fred's a tech ninja. Here comes Fred's roll. Fred got himself a 2 as tech ninja. Add danger crabs and go MIA. And rolling for Jim. Jim got himself a 4 as a heavy tech, a 4 on the heavy tech, heavy spec. Add 3 dangers of crabs. That's sort of mean, isn't it? Wow, he got swarmed in the engine section. They must have seen him coming. This is just a perilous condition, a perilous condition. And Jack gets to roll on his point scout. He's been a point scout the whole game. Good for him. Here comes a 6 roll. And I rolled a 1. That 1 on point scout, I jinxed him. He's going to change to grizzled vet. I roll over there. And a 2. A 2 is going to change to tech ninja. I think I've rolled that once before as well. 1, 2. And here comes my tech ninja roll of a 6. And he's going to get dialogue every step of the way. Is that the 4th time that Jack has established dialogue with headquarters to make sure we eliminate? It is. I'm saying. Now, Fred can pass with crabs. You could probably say that you should never be able to pass with crabs, but it's not specifically written. In a 2-page game, there's only so many rules I can put on 2 pages. Yeah, and I don't want to go to, microfont here. You don't want to have a microfiche. You people probably don't even know what microfiche are. You people, you youngsters. But what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and we're going to say Tech Ninja, the best thing for him to do right now would probably be, would it be to shoot? Would it be to, and he, oh gosh, we sort of got to the end here with everyone's on deck trying to fix things. The 1 shooter and 2 problem solvers. Crabs. Now, if I go over to my player sheet here, Tech Ninjas are 2 dice take the lower. Now we do add 1. No, we don't add 1. It's 2 dice take the lower, and he's got crabs. He's 2 dice take the lower, -1. Fred passes. Jim is a heavy spec guy. He's going to roll and he's going to try to reestablish our MIA status to CC status. And I'm going to roll 2 dice, take the better, and a 3 and a 1. A 3 and a 1. He is down 1 for the crabs on him, so he rolled himself a 2. A 2 is not going to be an impressive roll. Hyperventilate. Treat next 2 on any table as a 1. So back over here, hyperventilate. Ooh, that's a ugly one to start with, isn't it? Gasping, 2 to 1. Jim, you got crabs all over the place. We need you to be a heavy spec. And the dialogue here comes in, which is good. We get that CC status. And Jack will take his roll. Jack is going to, Jack can shoot. He's not hopeless. He's not a tech ninja. He can roll 1 die. And yeah, we'll roll 1 die here. And a 1 becomes a 2. Jack as well has hyperventilated. So we have a couple of guys that are treating 2s as 1s. We could end up with character dead. Fred, back to you. Fred, what are you going to do? You're -1 to your die, but you're +1 to the dice. Fred is going to roll his 2 dice on his do something anything. Here come my 2 dice rolls. And he rolled a 1 and a 2. 2, select any observe and react result. Fluking lucky roll, I would say, as referee if I hated these people, but I don't hate these people. I rarely hate my players. That's not true. I hate my players all the time. Just be aware that if you play a game with a referee, the referee is going to hate you all the time. You make him work. He struggles to put all this extra effort into his dungeons, and you don't clear them. Well, here we go. Fred got the lucky roll of the satellite data. And now we're rolling 3 dice. My heavy spec guy rolling 3 dice, -1, +1. Jim is going to start firing his weapon, and 3 dice. A 5. A 5 is going to be touch and go, end the alien threat, but or critical trouble. And we will end a crab threat. We take it off of here, get Fred working. Better Jim is realizing that even though he's covered with the crabs, he's going to try to entice the ones on Fred over to him. And yeah, num-nums, come and get your num-nums. And then, but he's going to have another thing. I'm going to take away the CC status and put us as MIA status as that calamity result. Over to Jack. Jack is going to go ahead and roll 2 dice. And he's gasping, so he could be ugly. But he's going to try to start getting rid of the oxygen. And 2 dice and get us our oxygen. And here comes his 2 dice. He's rolling 3 dice, forgive me. 3 dice, a 1, 1, and a 3. A 1, 1, and a 3. Does he add 1 to that? Yes. No, he doesn't add 1 to that. It's a 1, 1, and a 3. He just rolled himself a 3. A 3 is silent running, changed to MIA status. We're already at MIA status, so Jack has said, well, I've done everything else in this game. I can't help them all. Fred needs oxygen. He's a tech ninja. Fred could try to fire at crabs, but he's probably better off trying to get oxygen, maybe eliminating these gasping result with a critical deed. Let's try to roll for 3 dice. Do something, anything. Here comes Fred. Fred gets himself a 6. He does a critical deed. Do critical deed. End critical trouble and gain oxygen or a laser pistol. And so we don't need that oxygen. We do need oxygen, no laser pistol. I could grab oxygen. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure that Jim, with a critical deed, is not affected by that. Jim is firing at crabs. Oh my gosh, Jim, fire at crabs. Fire at crabs, Jim. Jim gets a 6. Crabs go boo-boo. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, crabs. Jack is rolling 2 dice, but he's treating a 2 as a 1. Let's go over to my 3 dice here. And he's going to have a 4. A 4. And is he +1? He is not +1. Another stinking lucky roll. A 4 is satellite data. Oh, we already have satellite data. Double satellite data. Double satellite data is meaningless. But at least it doesn't have any danger or hazards with it. Over to Fred. Fred can roll his tech ninja and try to get oxygen. He can maybe eliminate that gasping to make sure that Jack doesn't go boom on us, and do something, anything. 3 dice. He got himself a 6. I think I double-clicked that, so I cheated Jim out of his good rolls. And we're going to go ahead and take that gasping off of here as well with a critical deed. I go over to Jim. Jim, what are you going to do? I shoot crabs. Yeah, Jim, do you want to shoot some crabs? I shoot crabs. And I roll click it again, but he got a 2 and a 4. A 4 is going to be a respite. We still haven't got that MAA status off. And he's -1, so it becomes a 3. So a 3 is going to be a power flux. He's going to cause calamity. Let me look at the calamities that he can cause. He can cause, it's obvious to me. He lost his laser pistol. I got these 2 techs that can't really fight, and now we've lost the laser pistol. But the the tech ninja here could possibly get a result. And did I cheat myself and think Jack was still a point style? Well, I'll pick up on it now. And here comes the roll for Jack. We need to start finding oxygen in earnest. I'm going to roll 3 dice. Tech ninja. Got myself a 5, 5, 3. We are not establishing. We're not getting better than that. That 5 is going to be punctured, I think. Punctured. This is a tough table. Do something, anything. Suit punctured, and use backup or use backup or need oxygen. And he already needs oxygen. I'm over at Fred. Fred needs to get rid of that puncture at the very least. Fred is going to roll 3 dice. 3 dice on do something, anything. He needs to patch up Jack's suit. And did I make it? Let's see if I roll it. And he got himself a 6. Now that 6 could be critical deed to change the CC status. Calm. +1 to everyone is probably better than anything you do, so we're going to get that calm going. And we're coming up on 1 hour. I hope to finish by that. Either all 3 players dead, all 3 characters dead, or have a successful victory here. And we're going to go ahead and we moved over to Jim. Jim does not have a laser pistol. He's on crabs. He's -2 to his dice roll, +1. Jim is going to shoot at crabs anyway. Jim is just angry at these things mobbing him. 3 dice, and it's a 6. +1 is a 7, down 2 is a 5. A 5 is touch and go. It's going to be a calamity. You can't lose another. He killed crabs with a drained laser pistol. He's just sitting here playing whack-a-mole and smashing these things as they crawl toward him. And the extra calamity, whew, MIA status. He smashed his pistol right into the floor, into the cabling, and cut the command and control status that we had, our mission to mission control. I go over to my tech ninja Jack. He's punctured. Should he risk it? He's going to risk 1 time. Always risk 1 time. 3 dice. No plus. Here come my 3 dice. A 6. And a 6 can get back change to command and control status. And just is one of the first things we're going to do. So Jack is desperately trying to peel back the insulation on the cabling and take a cable that's got about 8,000 fiber optics in them and get them all back, basically back connected. And I come over to Fred. Fred is going to roll 3 dice. We need oxygen as well, and then we can win this game. We can get that oxygen and then get off the table. 3 dice. Here comes Fred. Fred got himself a 6. +1 is a 7. Do we take that puncture off? It doubles our chances going around here. Get the laser pistol here. We're going to need that laser pistol. I'll give the laser pistol over to Jim. Jim is going to fire at those crabs. He's going to roll 3 dice. He's going to add 1. He's going to subtract 1. So add 1, subtract 1. Jim has got himself 5. A 5 is touch and go and an alien threat, but calamity. Now the calamity coming back right with crabs. He exhausted his laser pistol again. He may or may not need it. And we're going to go over to Jack. Jack is rolling 2 dice, 3 dice on do something, anything. Yeah, he'll do it and add 1. Comes to 6. So he has supplied his own oxygen. Now we're going to get the laser pistol back again. Here, Jim, take mine. I don't need it. And we're going to go over to Fred. Fred is going to roll, trying to get oxygen for the party. Going to roll 3 dice. And I got myself a 5 +1 for the status is going to be, we now got oxygen. We're almost there. We're almost there, kids. And Jim is going to pass. There's no reason for Jim to take an action here. Well, Jim could 3 dice on the, as a heavy tech, he can roll 3 dice and get oxygen, perhaps. Well, let's see if we can get another mischief here. Do something, anything for Jim. He will not be left out. 3 dice, and here comes the roll. It's a 5, +1 is a 6. There's no penalties in here. He's got himself his own oxygen. And Jack, the safe thing to do with Jack would be to pass, but nobody likes to pass. Jack will roll on the table. Jack got himself a 6. He's got himself oxygen. I go over to Fred. Fred will pass. Heavy spec Jim is going to roll, trying to advance the table. Search and destroy. He's looking for a result of a 6 or a 4. 3 dice for satellites. 5 +1 is a 6. This game is won. Now, I played that in a pretty hyper fashion, and I certainly didn't add all of the individual characterizations that I might have, but I had fun.